Hi there, and welcome to our special New Year's Eve edition of The Wrap. We're saying goodbye to 2020 this week and looking ahead. Now, we're not going to tell you that 2021 is going to be better than 2020. We're all feeling pretty gutful. New lockdown restrictions are in place, and many of us were not able to see our friends and family this festive season. So this edition is not about telling you to look on the bright side. We'll spare you that cliche. We also wouldn't want to minimize the grief and disappointment that so many of us are experiencing. Rather, we want to remind you that in spite of it all, there are good things and important trends to look forward to next year. This week, we look to the stars, to sport, and to musicians for hope. Take the James Webb Telescope, for instance. Imagine if there was a way mankind could look back all the way to the beginning of time to find out what the earliest universe looks like. Well, that's happening in 2021. There are few sporting events on Earth that bring people together quite like the Olympics, and that's set to go ahead in 2021 with all COVID-19 protocols in place. And when last did you hear a new Stevie Wonder album? The USA will officially be free of Donald Trump as of January 20th. And of course, there's the COVID-19 vaccine. So while we know you're listening to this with a deep sense of anxiety about what the future might hold, there's one cliche we just can't resist. Hope springs eternal. Here are a few things we're looking forward to in 2021 and trends that give us some hope for the future. The vaccine. Now, during Monday night's family meeting, President Cyril Ramaphosa announced that the COVID-19 vaccine will arrive in SA in the second quarter of 2021. It's a long way off, and approximately only 10% of the population will get the vaccine at first. But we shouldn't lose sight of the fact that a vaccine has been developed in less than a year. It's a major scientific achievement, and it certainly gives us hope that the pandemic's severity will lessen as 2021 develops. Now, one of the things we love most about SA is our robust civil society. So, as concern around unequal access to the vaccine rises around the globe, our civil society is gearing up to pressure government and business to do the right thing. A quick catch-up. There has been international concern that richer countries will buy up the world's vaccine supplies, leaving poorer countries like SA struggling to access the scarce commodity when they need it most. As the New York Times reported this week, countries like SA are considered too rich to get vaccines for free, but are actually too poor to pay for them. In SA, there are also concerns that when a vaccine eventually arrives, it won't be distributed equally amongst rich and poor people. As the Daily Maverick reports, the Health Justice Initiative, a coalition of medical professionals and activists, is considering going to court to force the government to release its vaccine distribution plans. Sunlight is the best disinfectant, as the saying goes, and we'll be watching the fight for transparency around the vaccine process in 2021. Now, we know that at least 2 vaccines for COVID-19 have high rates of efficacy in adults, but we don't yet know how they will affect pregnant women and young children. In January, trials will start to measure the safety of the available vaccines on these 2 vulnerable groups, reports the US-based news outlet CNBC. Dr. Anthony Fauci, head of the US National Institute of Allergy and Infectious Diseases, has pointed out the potential dangers for pregnant women and young children. As with all things COVID-related, there's so much we don't know. But Fauci said there's some evidence that children can suffer from an inflammatory disease affecting the organs after being infected. For pregnant women, it's possible that COVID could cause premature delivery. The sooner we can extend the vaccine to everyone, the better. In science news, you may have heard of the Hubble Space Telescope, the largest telescope in space. Launched in 1990, Hubble, the size of a large school bus, orbits 500 kilometers above the Earth's atmosphere. It has let us see way back in time, showing us amazing pictures of galaxies and even comets crashing into Jupiter. It's one of the reasons scientists have been able to estimate the age of the universe. Now, its successor is on the way. The James Webb Telescope will be launched in 2021, and it's pretty awesome. According to NASA, James Webb is so powerful it will look back nearly to the beginning of time and show us what the first galaxies looked like. Pretty amazing, right? It will also show us how galaxies are forming inside giant dust clouds in our universe right now. While we don't know where 2021 is going yet, James Webb may help us understand where we came from. In political news, US President-elect Joe Biden and Vice President-elect Kamala Harris will be sworn in on January 20, officially putting an end to Donald Trump's disastrous presidency. From Trump's outright sexism to his alleged tax dodging, many people will breathe a sigh of relief after his term ends. Importantly for SA, Biden appears to have extended an olive branch to the African continent and countries previously ignored by Trump. You can read more about that at explain.coza. Oh, and let's not forget that Harris will be the first woman and the first Black and Asian American US Vice President, and it's an historic moment. Public access to courts in SA is really important. In order for people to have faith in the justice system, they have to see how it actually works. Most court cases in SA are open to the public, unless they involve sexual offences, children, or divorce proceedings. While court closures in 2020 delayed many cases, cases were broadcast live online, allowing access to the public on an unprecedented scale. Think the Oscar Pistorius trial, but in nearly every courtroom. You can expect this trend to continue in 2021. Although we don't know how the second surge of COVID will affect court closures in 2021, we know that online streaming of cases is now so normal that it might well become the method of preference for judges in the future. This means you can have a front row seat to our justice system from the safety of your own home. Now on to some sports news. Wimbledon was postponed in 2020 for the first time since World War II, but the Grand Slam Championship will return in 2021, taking place from June the 28th to the 11th of July. Wimbledon CEO Sally Bolton says a decision will be taken as to whether the tournament will be at full capacity, reduced capacity, or behind closed doors. This year's US Open was behind closed doors in October, whereas the French Open took place in a reduced capacity in May. Either way, we can't wait to see our favourites. Did someone say Serena Williams? Take to the court once more. Since the first torch was lit in 1896 by the Greeks, few sporting events have captured the world's attention quite like the Olympics. The Games were postponed for the first time ever in 2020 thanks to the pandemic. The new dates for the Olympics will be the 23rd of July to the 8th of August 2021, and the Paralympics will take place from the 24th of August to the 5th of September. The 2021 Games will be held in Tokyo, Japan, a country which has been praised for the effectiveness of its COVID-19 response. Japan has had only 224,000 COVID-19 cases in total and about 3,000 deaths. To reduce the risk of infection, athletes will be permitted to arrive at the Olympic Village 5 days before their events and will be required to leave 2 days after. The change in date actually turned out to be pretty symbolic for the Japanese nation. 2021 marks 10 years since the 2011 East Japan earthquake, which caused over 15,000 deaths. After the traditional lighting of the Olympic torch, which begins on the 25th of March, the torch will travel through the country's municipalities which have recovered since the earthquake, a light of resilience and hope for many Japanese citizens. Now, COVID has provided humanity with a window of opportunity to do something about climate change. Thanks to lockdowns all over the globe, the world has seen the biggest drop in carbon dioxide emissions since 2020, since World War II. Greenhouse gas watchdog Global Carbon Project says the reduction was a whopping 7% this year. Researchers expect that number to rise again in 2021, but UK-based climate science outlet Carbon Brief says that if governments opt for green economic recovery plans, it could have a huge impact on global warming by the middle of this century. But it's not just governments who need to do their part. The United Nations says the global elite the top richest 1% in the world must drastically reduce their high-flying ways to make sure that post-COVID-19 emissions don't spike as a result of increased travel and other expensive lifestyle patterns. Come on, leaders of the world, let's give future generations something to thank us for. Now, don't pack away that home office just yet. Flexible hours and working remotely are the biggest workplace trends of 2020 by a mile, and you can expect this to be the norm for a while to come. It hasn't been a joyride for everyone. Working from home has been disruptive for many, and some businesses have found it difficult to cope without the informal office interactions that make up a big part of day-to-day working. As we've previously reported, it's also placed disproportionate stress on women who have struggled to juggle work, childcare, and homeschooling thanks to school closures. But according to The Economist, Harvard University researchers have suggested that working from home does make workers more productive, at least in certain sectors. This makes a business case for employers who want to give their employees more flexibility in terms of hours and office location. In 2021, awkwardly shouting, "You're frozen" in a crucial meeting could be a thing of the past. With the demand for faster internet for work, leisure, and education needs, tech companies are fast-tracking the rollout of 5G and even 6G networks, reports tech blog theinc.com. Now, 5G was rolled out by some service providers in SA in late 2019 and early 2020, according to Business Insider. 5G is much faster than fiber and 4G and can be used to connect the smart cities of the future. There have been some hurdles in SA to rolling out 5G, and more cell phone towers need to be built to ensure that it's distributed everywhere. Currently, you can't get 5G outside of the big metros, but all that could change in 2021. And no, you with your tinfoil hat on over there, 5G is not the reason for COVID-19. Now, whether you're into old school, rock, or hip hop, there's something for everyone in 2021. According to The Guardian, there will be a number of exciting new music releases. If you're an old soul, you'll be delighted to know that Stevie Wonder is releasing a new album in 2021 called Through the Eyes of Wonder. It's his first offering since 2005. And if the 2 songs he released in 2020 are anything to go by, the album will be a reflection of the current political mood, with references to Black Lives Matter likely to feature. For the rockers in our midst, the Foo Fighters are releasing a 2021 album called Medicine at Midnight. It was reportedly recorded at a haunted house in California, and the Foo's frontman Dave Grohl has described it as a party album. If you're into rap, Cardi B is hooking you up in 2021 with a new record, as yet untitled. Her single WAP was one of the biggest jams of 2020, and her debut album, Invasion of Privacy, was the longest charting album by a female rapper in US history. Cardi B reportedly says her new stuff has hints of Beyoncé's Lemonade in it. We can't wait. Now here's what we'll be watching in 2021. Fate the Winx Saga. This live-action series adaptation based on the original cartoon, Winx Club, is due for release in January. Blood and Water Season 2. The successful South African Netflix series is set to return in 2021, and hopefully we'll find out whether or not Fikile and Puleng are really sisters. Coming to America. The long-awaited sequel of the 1988 Coming to America comedy classic will make its way onto big screens in March. The Bachelorette South Africa. Model Kiniso van Dam will be South Africa's first Bachelorette in February. Black Widow, the blockbuster Marvel comic adaptation, will be released in May. And we're really looking forward to this one, The Handmaid's Tale Season 4. COVID-19 slowed down production on this long-awaited next season, but the show is still expected to return in 2021. That's it from us at The Wrap, a product of Explain.coza, simple news summaries for busy people. Have a happy new year, stay safe and healthy, and remember to share the love. Tell your friends to sign up for the updates at explain.coza/subscribe. Till next time, see you in the new year. Goodbye from the team.